Hi, this is Sean,
Hi, this is Isaac.
and this channel's called Wolf Dog Moon. And today, we're doing another wrestling versus John Cena versus The Undertaker. If you like this kind of content, smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more. Ring the bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Comment down below and share with your friends. Alright, let's get into this. Okay, so if you've seen our previous videos in our wrestling series, then you understand how this one's gonna go. But if you haven't, we encourage you to check those out first before you watch this one. Or you could watch this one and go back and watch those for more context, because the way this works is we're gonna book this match from a promotion standpoint, and this is a type of thought experiment. You're going to have to use your imagination as we do this, basically a match, to explain how we would book it right down to the finish. Alright, so let's get into this. Now, we have these two wrestlers here. On the left, of course, we have The Undertaker, and on the right is John Cena. Now, to back up a little bit before we let you know how we would do this, we're going to cut to the chase a little bit here and just let you know right up front that you would never want to do this match. Okay? But remember, just like our previous videos, we're going from the context that this is these two wrestlers in their prime, whenever you thought that was. So, for example, with The Undertaker, if you think he was the best back in the 80s, 90s era, or during the Attitude Era, or more right up to the point where Brock Lesnar beat him at WrestleMania for the streak. So whenever you thought that Undertaker was the best, and the same thing with John Cena, whenever you thought he was the best and in his prime. So with that as a backdrop, right up front, I'm going to let you know you would never want to do this match. Unless you absolutely have to do this match. And so we're going to do it from that standpoint as well. And I will explain further. But first, what I'm going to do is let you know, and especially if you haven't seen one of our earlier verses, which was the Ultimate Warrior versus what was the previous one we did, Isaac? It was Ultimate Warrior versus, I'm going to pause it. So we were having a brain fart. It was Ultimate Warrior versus Brock Lesnar. So if you haven't seen that, basically we're going to start with The Undertaker. Okay, so The Undertaker, I put him in a special category just like the Ultimate Warrior. The Undertaker is a supernatural force. Okay, so what he essentially is he's a kind of, he's like indifferent to the titles, if you understand the character archetype that the Undertaker is. He acts like a kind of judge, jury, and executioner. So a character I would compare him to is, if you know the comic book character Judge Dredd, where he essentially is dueling out a type of justice. In this case, he's the Undertaker. So you could also think from the perspective of like a Western setting where you have the gunfighters and he comes in to deal a type of justice. So he's indifferent. He's not a face or a heel, but he's heel from the standpoint because he's supernatural. And hold on one second, please. Alright, just had to pause it for a second. We got all these crazy interruptions. The cat was acting like a bozo and making weird noises and creepy horror noises. I'm probably just going to leave that in because I think it's funny. But basically, the Undertaker is kind of like a horror supernatural force, like death in a way. So basically what he acts as is a kind of, like I said, he duels out a type of judgment. So that's what the character type that they're trying to create. And so he even says, "Rest in peace." Right? Isn't that what he says?
Yes.
So he has this, his finishing move is called the Tombstone. Correct?
Yeah.
So he moves slowly, and he has to do with, and they play lightning and elemental type effects to put, so that you get the archetype that they're pushing. So he acts as like an almost elemental figure, but in addition to being a physically impressive looking guy, he's well over 6 feet tall. He can step over the top rope, and he's very impressive looking, as he looks like a warrior. He's extremely tough as nails, and then he does almost supernatural things, like they have him walk along the top rope as if he's suspended in midair, like he can float above the ground. That's what that's trying to simulate. Okay, so with all that, all those aspects, because remember, wrestling is a suspension of disbelief. It works. It's a storyline, and once you establish these characters, such as a Undertaker, then you have to follow through with it, but with logic and reason. Even though he's supernatural, you have to ground your abstractions, so you have to be consistent with it. Okay? And so, I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm just trying to get a certain abstract concept across that might be abstract to some people, especially, for example, if you're somebody who is used to pro sports such as the NBA or the NFL, it might be a leap for you to suspend disbelief, because you're just looking at this from the perspective of it being one of those type of traditional sports. But it really isn't like baseball or NFL. It isn't that. It's a mashup and a hybrid of probably more like theater and and character stories that you would read in a book. But it's not even really acting. There's an acting aspect to it, but not in the same way as when you watch a movie. Okay, this is a different hobby. It's a different type of entertainment. So having said all that, I just want to make it clear, not talking down to anybody. It's, you got to listen with your heart kind of thing. So on the right, you have the John Cena. He's the prototype. He's the 14-time champion. He's a face. He's the top guy. He's the champion. And we're doing this match from the perspective, and you can jump in any point, Isaac. You can chime in, but we're doing this match. We're booking this match from the perspective of these two guys in their prime, and Cena has the belt. Okay? And having said that and explained these two characters, you have John Cena. He's the hero on the hero's journey. Okay? Right? So I'm running this promotion. I'm booking this match. You never want these two guys to fight. In fact, you almost want to act like these two guys. You want to make these guys never cross paths. John Cena doesn't know who Undertaker is, or mentions him, and conversely, Undertaker doesn't mention John Cena. So if you understand the Undertaker character, it's as if he is in that way he's a ghost, kind of. He's the underworld. He's a world between the spirit world and this world. Okay, so you understand? So you would never want these guys actually to face off, but there is a point when you might have to have these two guys face off. And I had to write this down so I don't mess this up. And This is kind of a little bit of a spoiler, but first I'm going to put another guy in here. Everyone knows who this guy is. It's Hulk Hogan, okay? And they had to do what I'm about to explain with Hulk Hogan, okay? It was done this way, so get a good look at him. All right, so the reasons why you do this fight is because you have no other choice. You have to do it. So number one, and again, I'm throwing out if these guys ever fought. Isaac, do you think they ever fought?
I think after Undertaker was gimped, they fought.
Okay, so at some point these two guys might have fought, but we're throwing that out. We're doing this from the standpoint, again, these two guys in their prime, okay? So, the only reason you would do this fight is, number one, Cena is injured, and you need to get him off TV to heal or do surgery. So, in that circumstance, what you would do is that's when you'd have a supernatural force in the Undertaker, because you need to get the belt off of Cena so that it can get essentially transferred to another wrestler. And they did this with Hulk Hogan, okay? And the way you have to do that is you would do it off TV, but in a place that you're going to get the most bang for it, where word of mouth. You have to do it word of mouth. And then what you would do is on TV, after it has happened, you would have them play maybe a quick little a little promo about it, or a little short clip talking about what happened and it's devastating and all this other stuff. And that's how you would book that. And then the other way that you would book this is, and this is like kind of like a kill switch. It works in that way, if you understand. Or Undertaker as a cheat code. Okay, so number two would be to fix a broken story or character. It's sort of like a horror movie. It's like a get out of jail free card. It gets you out of this. If you painted yourself in the corner from a story standpoint, where you have this character that is not working, he's completely broken, or she, but you want to bring them back later and maintain and still be able to protect them. It's just something that, for example, if they're not injured, or you can't do you can't do it the first way I told you, then you're using the Undertaker to get the belt off and then maybe you would do a tournament or something like that to get it off the character. So like maybe the character, for whatever reason, the story's just not, they can't get out of the story predicament that they're in. That's when you could use an Undertaker type character, because he's supernatural. It acts like, okay, rather than the face, so in this instance Cena is the face, so rather than him getting beat by another person, and okay, that person beat John Cena, it's really an Undertaker's like an elemental force that's defeating Cena in this instance. And so you can keep the push going from Cena and take him off of TV, or he can go away to do movies or whatever he's doing, but you want to maintain the strength of his character. Does that make sense, Isaac, or you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'd say this makes sense.
And so that's how you have to look at it. And so the way we would book this match is it happens somewhere, sometime, and it's almost treated like a rumor. It's almost treated like this event that happened, but did it really happen? Is how you'd have to do it if you understand, okay, the wrestling industry, and if you also understand from a storyline perspective. You wouldn't have these two guys fight, other than what we said, if you're trying to protect both these guys in their prime. And so comment down below, let us know what you think, and if put your comments down below. If you have questions, we'll try to answer them and stuff, and for our reasons for why we would do this. But you would essentially just have almost like you would throw everything at Cena where he's getting hit, especially if he's injured. He needs to be off TV, he needs to go away to rest or heal or something, and so you need to get the belt off him. It's like he gets, not by Undertaker, but by other wrestlers. He's getting beat up by all these wrestlers, and or it is all this shenanigans. And but remember, Cena's injured, so you got an injured wrestler that you need to do this with. So it can't be long, it can't be drawn out. It has, and so you're doing the tombstone. You're having Undertaker do this thing, and they did this to Hulk Hogan. Now, inversely, they did a similar thing with the not Ultimate Warrior. With the Undertaker. They did a similar thing where they had he was fighting, I think, Yokozuna, and it was like a tombstone match or whatever it was. What was that match where he ends up in the coffin, and that's how they defeat the Undertaker? Is it the Undertaker that gets defeated? It's a coffin match.
Yeah,
so back, I think this was back in the 90s. They do this elaborate thing to get the Undertaker, basically, to essentially he's defeated, but will be back, kind of thing, kind of like a horror movie or something. So if you know what match we're talking about, post it down below. We'll include that in the discussion. So in the meantime, we hope this video finds you having an amazing day, and we hope that you have a blessed day. Sign.